Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Sams. I have just a quick angle review to do with you, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about perpendicular and parallel lines. So just a angle review. We've talked about right angles that make the L shape, and sometimes you see a little square in the corner there. Remember, right angles can be upside down and turn around as well. You might see an acute angle. An acute angle is like a cute angle. Acute. Think of the word cute, like little kittens and little puppies. They're small. They're tiny. These are angles that are tinier, smaller than a right angle. This distance in here is what we're talking about. And then we have angles that are obtuse angles that are larger than 90. So we're talking about this area right here. If this had been a 90-degree angle, it would have come here and make an L shape, but you'll notice it goes past that. So these are things that you don't want to forget. Because we've been talking about right angles, this is a good time to talk about perpendicular lines. And that's our lesson for today, perpendicular lines, 17.3. Perpendicular lines are two lines that meet at right angles. So as long as you have lines that meet, they can go past each other or just meet in the corner, but as long as they make that L-shaped right angle, they are called perpendicular lines. Here we have two lines that meet, but notice it's an acute angle. It's smaller than 90. It's not a right angle, so we would not call these perpendicular lines. They have to form a right angle to be perpendicular. What I like to do to find out if two lines are perpendicular is to use a sticky note. Some people will use a ruler. Some people can use a folded piece of paper. I like to use a sticky note. I just place it here, and if one of the lines lines up on this edge, one of the lines lines up on this edge, I know that those are perpendicular lines. I can then take this paper and try to do assignments like this that are in our book. So on page 283, this is problem number 3. Which line is perpendicular to AB? This is line AB. A lot of us might think that GH, line GH here, is perpendicular because it's nice and straight here. But if you study this, these angles here are not right angles. If I take my paper, line it up here, if this were my right angle, it would have to be right here, making my L shape. But notice it's not, it's right here. So this is not the answer. The correct answer, if you guessed it, is line CD. If I take my piece of paper, put it nicely in the corner there, you'll notice CD lines up nicely on this edge and AB on this edge. That's pretty much perpendicular lines. I know in your workbook you're going to have to find some perpendicular lines. When you do that, if you can't find them all, don't stress. Just try to find one or two. I know Ian, in one of his assignments last week, he marked things with different colors. If that helps you see the different right angles, then go ahead and do it. I have no problem with that. Okay. 17.4 is parallel lines. I love parallel lines. Parallel lines are two lines that will not meet no matter how long you draw them. If you draw them to infinity and beyond, like Buzz Lightyear, they will never cross. It's easy for you to maybe think of a railroad. A train goes on parallel tracks, and they just go on and on like this, and they will not cross. So those are parallel lines. These are other examples of parallel lines. If you want to draw parallel lines, you can practice using a ruler. Looking for them can be tricky. Here are some shapes. These are on page 291. They'll help you with your work. It says name the pairs of parallel line segments in each figure. There could be more than one. Just find the ones that you can. Rectangles and squares are pretty easy. I can tell that line AB is parallel to DC. I can also tell that AD is parallel to BC. Sometimes it gets a little tricky with an interesting shape like this. Which ones are parallel? Feel free to move your book around. I had to for this one. I can actually tell that line HI, if I were to continue to draw that forever, and GF, they would be parallel. I could continue that on. But let's say if I thought, let's see, maybe I thought HI and FE were parallel. If I continue drawing these, let me use my pencil here. If I were to continue drawing these to infinity and beyond, you will see that they eventually cross, they intersect. So those two would not be parallel. So just take your time with your workbook as well when you're doing these and trying to find which ones are parallel. Remember, you just want to make sure that as you go on and on and on, they will not cross. Some of the answers will have more than one. If you can only find one or two, don't worry about it. That's fine. At least you can see some of the parallel lines. Good luck.